Now on Channel 3 News.
The race for the White House is officially on now. What happens next? Plus, it's been against the law for 2 decades, but Florida hunters may soon get to go bear hunting. And good morning. Welcome to Dayside. I'm Jared Willett. Sue Strawn is on assignment, and we do begin with the race for the White House. Hillary Clinton makes the campaign start in Iowa today after an incognito shop looking at Chipotle's. She was there trying to get some lunch. The GOP has another hat in the ring. Marco Rubio made his announcement. Elizabeth Hurd takes a close look at what happens now.
First, there was Texas Senator Ted Cruz, then came Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, and now another Republican says he is in.
Grounded by the lessons of our history, but inspired by the promise of our future, I announce my candidacy for President of the United States.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio, the son of Cuban immigrants, making his big announcement in Miami, just moments after sitting down with ABC's George Stephanopoulos.
I think this country's at a generational moment where it needs to decide not what party it wants in charge, but what kind of country are we going to want to be.
Rubio wasting no time blasting Hillary Clinton, referring to Clinton as yesterday. On the Democrat side, for now, Hillary Clinton is the only announced candidate and a heavy favorite, but says she is not taking anything for granted.
I'm hitting the road to earn your vote.
Clinton kicked off her campaign with this video. Its focus, not on her, but people she calls everyday Americans, and with a road trip to Iowa. Along the way, again keeping a low profile, where she even went unrecognized in dark sunglasses inside this Chipotle in Ohio. So far, 4 candidates are in, and analysts say expect more, but the game plan is set.
Barack Obama in one corner, Hillary Clinton in the other. That is who the Republicans are going to be positioning against for the better part of the next year.
As for Clinton, she will be meeting with small groups of voters today, the everyday Americans she says her campaign is all about. Elizabeth Hurd, ABC News, New York.
And Senator Marco Rubio says, of course, he believes he's the right man to lead our country. Locally, many Hispanics say they're happy to see another Hispanic's name on the list of presidential hopefuls, but at the same time, leaders say it's hard to generalize the Hispanic vote. Many are still focused on what Rubio will say and do on the campaign trail.
The Hispanic community, I think, is as diverse as any other. We certainly have conservative Hispanic voters, active voters, whose only issue is with immigration policies and wanting to see some reform.
Rubio, the son of Cuban immigrants, in his speech yesterday, he told the story of his parents' struggles and said the American dream seems unattainable for many because, quote, our leaders and their ideas are stuck in the 20th century. Pensacola man will be sentenced to prison next month for molesting a child. Devon Bell was found guilty of lewd or lascivious molestation of a victim under 12. The crime happened while the victim was spending the night at a relative's home. Bell's facing 25 years to life in state prison. Pensacola man is now charged with stealing an AR-15 from an Escambia County home. Witnesses say they saw a man behind Oakwood Terrace on Truman Avenue with the rifle Sunday. A sheriff's canine unit sent to the area. Deputies found Curtis Robinson, and the canine found the rifle in a duffel bag. It was reported stolen last week. Robinson is now charged with armed robbery, larceny, and criminal mischief. Lightning severely damaged the Pensacola home yesterday. Annette Romeo says she woke up to crashing glass and the smell of smoke around 3 in the morning. Lightning bolt had hit the side of her house. Now the laundry room roof is damaged, she says. The water heater, the TV is blown out. Their septic system's having problems too.
Hopefully insurance will cover it. If not, we don't know what we're going to do.
Romeo says at least 3 windows were blown out and the shed was ruined. Also word that her washer and dryer were damaged as well. Well, Lulu's in Destin is looking to hire 300 workers for their new location. A hiring fair will run through this Friday from 9 to 7 p. every day. The event being held at the Regatta Bay office on Legendary Drive off of 98. The business being built at the foot of the Mid-Bay Bridge right next to Legendary Marine.
And now we move to the weather, and it's not so good. We have a flash flood watch right now through at least 1 o'clock tomorrow morning. And in Mississippi, there are a couple of flash flood warnings in southern Mississippi. Those are in effect through early afternoon. Nothing yet in South Alabama or Northwest Florida, but the Doppler radar does show you there are a few showers out there in Northwest Florida right now. Here's some heavy rain in extreme North Santa Rosa County. But the heaviest rain we've seen, check this out, it is pouring in Mississippi and into North Mobile County. Coming up, I'm going to tell you when this rain comes into Northwest Florida.
If you haven't filed your taxes quite yet, you're running short on the clock. You could file an extension, of course. Channel 3's Ricky Van tells us what you need to know to get that done and not get hit with a penalty.
When filing your taxes, you may have a lot of questions. One local tax expert answered many of those frequently asked questions.
Crunch the numbers yourself, or have a professional do it. However you put your information together, your annual tax returns are due to the IRS by April 15th. That's Wednesday. Some, like Ashley Lucane, still have questions.
The laws are always changing, your circumstances change, and I'm definitely not a tax expert, so.
That's why she brought her paperwork to the professionals.
We are trained and up to date on all the tax laws.
Tax expert Jessica Riddle says this year most of the questions are from those who have health care under the Affordable Care Act.
It's the biggest change in over 20 years to the tax law. It affects a lot of people's tax return, some negatively, some positively.
If you have health insurance under the ACA, this year there's an extra form you need to fill out. Lucane came with other questions.
I have an aunt who was a dependent that lived with me for a partial part of the year last year. So in order to file that correctly for me for this year and for her son for the next year, we had to kind of figure that out.
Each tax situation is different. So we like to look at the whole picture of the family and what's going on with them in order to navigate through their taxes.
If you haven't even organized your paperwork yet, Riddle says do it now because there are penalties if you don't send in your tax return.
I don't want to owe the IRS any unnecessary or excess money. And
you can get a penalty for not filing your paperwork, and you can get a penalty for not paying. You can file an extension for your paperwork.
She says you can file for an extension as long as you get your paperwork in by April 15th. Then your deadline will be extended 6 months. Reporting in studio, Ricky Van, Channel 3 News.
Well, it seems that some state colleges might have to cut back degree programs and maybe even change their names if a bill in the legislature passes. Schools like Northwest Florida State College and Pensacola State College got those designations in 2008 when the state college system was created. The intention was to allow community colleges to offer some four-year degrees in fields directly tied to building the local workforce. But some legislators say certain colleges are going too far, offering baccalaureate degrees in fields that duplicate and compete with universities in order to boost enrollment and, yes, get more money. The bill would make colleges justify new four-year degrees and limit total enrollment to 5% of a school's student body. It would also make the schools take back the word state, take it out of their name.
So for us to have to go back and change it again and, take state out and put community college in, that's a big money cost for us where we could be giving it to our students.
Well, State Senator Don Gates says the state college system does not need to be tightened up, but he says the name-changing provision will be stripped from the bill by the time it reaches the Senate floor. Bear hunting in Florida has been illegal for 21 years. That may change in the fall. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission will reportedly meet tomorrow to decide whether to set rules that would allow bear hunting. New rules include 1 week of legal hunting time from October 24th to the 30th in daytime hours. Also, each hunter will be permitted to bag 1 bear per hunting season. If commissioners give the proposed rules a green light, a final vote will come at their meeting in June. When Dayside continues, an accused shooter in North Carolina found asleep on a Florida beach. Speaking of sleeping on the job, not a good idea, especially in an airplane. Channel 3 News with you anywhere. Search WEAR TV on iTunes or Google Play. Download the app, it's free. A student suspected in Monday's fatal shooting on the campus of Wayne Community College in North Carolina has been arrested. 20-year-old Kenneth Stansel III was found sleeping on the beach in Daytona this morning, about 550 miles from Goldsboro. Volusia County Beach Patrol said he was violating the city's ordinance, no sleeping on the beach, and that's how they caught him. Police say he had a knife. He was taken into custody without any incident. Stansel allegedly shot and killed longtime school employee Ron Lane, who ran the campus print shop.
Yeah, I shot him. I'm sorry. Oh,
Reserve Deputy Robert Bates has turned himself in, now charged with manslaughter, accused of killing Eric Harris during a sting operation. Harris was caught on tape allegedly selling an illegal handgun. He took off running when Tulsa County Sheriff's deputies tried to arrest him. Bates told investigators he made a quick decision to use his taser, but mistakenly used his gun instead. Bates is not a full-fledged sheriff's deputy. He's a certified volunteer peace officer. Now the Harris family wants to know how he confused a gun with a taser. We know the name of that passenger inside Walter Scott's car the day Scott was shot and killed by a South Carolina police officer. In a statement given to ABC News by his lawyer, Pierre Fulton says Scott was a dear friend. Fulton says Scott helped him become a better man and didn't deserve to die. Former North Charleston police officer Michael Slager is now charged with the murder in Scott's death. Cell phone video showing Slager firing shots at Scott as he ran away. An Alaska Airlines jet forced to make an emergency landing after the pilot heard some unusual banging from the plane's cargo hold. Turns out the ramp agent handling the luggage for the flight fell asleep in the cargo hold yesterday. The flight carrying 176 passengers and crew is en route to L.A. from Seattle.
Two of us thought something was stuck in the wheel because that's kind of the sound of it. And then we started hearing voices underneath us and pounding significantly louder and louder.
The plane was in the air for about 14 minutes before the captain declared an emergency. The baggage handler was taken to the hospital as a precaution, later discharged. When Dayside continues, Dr. Mitchell is here to tell us how we can figure out how much we're really supposed to weigh. We'll do that. And as we go to break, remember to sign up to be our Facebook fan of the day. Today's fan will win a voucher for 4 tickets to Disney on Ice at the Pensacola Bay Center next week. Enter. Go to facebook.com/WEAR-TV. Click on the Connect 3 button. You'll find that at the top of the page. Well, the question is for many of us, how much am I supposed to weigh really? How do I figure that all out? What's the number? Let's find out now from Dr. Ken Mitchell from Medi Weight Loss to talk about this. I had mentioned earlier, I'm going to my doctor for my yearly, and there's a BMI chart on the wall. I always look at it, and say, hey, where am I? So on and so forth. BMI is good, bad, or ugly?
Well, it's the relationship between height and weight, and by definition, it's the weight in kilograms over the height in meters squared. So it's difficult to calculate it out yourself. The charts make it easy. A BMI over 25 is considered overweight, and a BMI over 30 is considered obese. But those are just guidelines. For example, a bodybuilder who has a lot of muscle mass or someone with large bones is going to exceed the guidelines, and they may be misclassified based on BMIs.
I've heard that. So that is sort of, we just kind of push that aside. Maybe we'll do something else that would help us figure out who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to be.
Yeah, and there are probably 2 or 3 other things you look at. Commonly, there's what they call the waist to hip ratios, and you expect in males to be, mostly straight with a little bit of contour, and women have obviously more curve. And a ratio of 1 would be where your weight would be exactly of your waist would be exactly of your hips. And so in men it should be like 0.9, in women 0.8. So a woman who has hips of 28 inches could have or 36 inches could have a waist of 28 and be like 0.7. So you want a little curve in women.
Oh, yes, you do, doctor.
Yeah, of course. But if there's no curve, then you're considered to be overweight or obese.
I see. And then there's how tall you are. That works into the equation?
Yeah, exactly. The circumference of your waist should be about half of your height. So a guy 6 foot tall, 72 inches, he could have a waist of 36 inches, and that would be okay. That would be the borderline. A woman who's 5'4" or 64 inches, she could be 32, and that would be okay. So you're looking about half of the height for the waist circumference.
It seems that we are, in this country these days, obsessed with people being overweight and out of shape, not necessarily, together. All these numbers, if you don't fit in the parameters, is it over?
No, no, exactly, it's not over. And the interesting thing you and I were talking about is called this obesity paradox, where it turns out that there are people who are overweight or obese who are actually pretty healthy, metabolically. And so there is at least enough exception that the assumption that if you are a certain weight, you are unhealthy, that is just not true. It probably is more about inflammation. But it's a good idea to have some guidelines about where you would be, particularly if it will stick.
Yes, and that's what you said many times. If the restrictions of a diet are making you miserable, what the heck?
Yeah, you've just wasted a lot of time and energy to get to a weight that's not going to stay. So you know, what I say kind of philosophically is the best weight is the weight you maintain living the way you want to live. So if you could never go out, you could never have a dessert, you know, if you couldn't have a drink on the weekends to maintain this weight, that's probably not very realistic.
All right. Doctor, philosopher Ken Mitchell, thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Dayside takes a break. We'll be right back. Today marks the 150th anniversary of the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, April 14, 1865. Actor, Confederate sympathizer John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln at Ford's Theater in Washington. Ford's Theater remained closed for more than a century, but today it does house a permanent museum focused on the president and the assassination. The theater will host the round-the-clock events. It'll be open for 36 hours today and tomorrow.
Well, here's one more look at the Doppler, and you can see a lot of heavy rain in Mobile County on the north end and all over southern Mississippi. Only isolated light rain now in northwest Florida, but later today and tonight, we're going to get our share as well.
And with that, we say thank you for tuning in to Channel 3 News Dayside, and we do ask you to tune in to Channel 3 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10.